Hello, and welcome back. So here we are going to talk about how you can fuel your body for your workouts, and how we can also look at how our blood sugars affect our hormones and everything else. So firstly, we are going to get on fueling your workouts. I want to say, I know lots of people, when we talk about fueling their workouts, they say, I can't eat anything, I feel sick and I just can't eat. And I understand that because I used to feel the same way. I had watched this documentary a few years ago, and it talked about, they did research on the males and the females' bodies on what was better for working out. And then in the end, it was saying that women performed better with fuel in their, with food in their stomachs, and men actually performed better without food. So this was really surprising to me, because I'd always, exercised on an empty stomach, but I deliberately had a smoothie before I ran, and I couldn't believe how I felt. I ran the best time I'd ever, and distance. I just felt like I could go forever. And Coo was only little, and he was in the pram, and the only reason I stopped was because he was crying because he'd had enough of being in the pram. So that really changed my mind about, looking to really fuel my body for my workout. And I just want you to think about, if we've always done it fasted, that's fine. But it's just slowly teach yourself to maybe put a little bit of fuel into your body and see how it feels. The other perspective of why I'm really recommending this is, especially in females, is that when we get up and say we exercise straight away, it is putting your body in a stressed state. So when we don't have any fuel in it, and we are then adding to our stress, and it's not recognizing that we're working out. It's just recognizing, gosh, what are they doing? I need to protect the body. So it increases your cortisol, which again is then going to store more fat. So I just want you to think, eat a little bit. And just see. Now it can be as little as protein coffee or something else. So just see and try and see how it feels for your body. So remember, our goal is always about fueling our bodies, and we want to have enough energy to train well without feeling sluggish or too full. And I think, sometimes that's what's happened with people before, is you feel so, and yeah, a bit yucky. And it has taken me a long time to work out, it's taken me a long time to kind of work out the kind of balance of what works for my body. And that's what I cannot stress enough. This information is information. They've done research, and it's giving you a guide on what the research says. But the thing is, you are an individual. You are different to everyone else. So I want you to think about what works for you. And so trial and test it and see. So the timing kind of matters for your workout. So ideally, they say to eat 1 to 2 hours before training. But if you're training super early, don't stress. I can hear you already saying, I'm not getting up 1 to 2 hours. Nope, I wouldn't either. But like I said, I really recommend just even trying to have a small snack in the car. And like I said, even, just a small, so it can be, I used to have a lady, she had like 3 strawberries, it was like half a banana, 3 strawberries and 2 Tic Tacs. She had a little combo of what she knew felt good for her. So when we are eating, you want to think about easy digestible carbs. So things like a banana, with a little bit of almonds, Greek yogurt and berries, a little toast and peanut butter, a smoothie with fruit or protein powder. I probably wouldn't want to have any of those things at 5 a.m. or 4 a.m., whatever, first thing in the morning. I personally just would, especially at that time, I would be better with a piece of fruit. I don't like banana. I like bananas, but I do not like how bananas make me feel, especially before a workout. Lots of people eat bananas, but it doesn't work for me. So this is why I'm saying you've got to look and make it work for you. So just trial and test. Bananas seem to sit in my stomach, but an apple or a pear feels really good. So that's what I like, especially at the 5, like early. You do want to think about avoiding heavy, high fat meals right before a workout, because they take longer to digest and they might make you feel sluggish or nauseous. So depending if you're working out in the afternoon, But it's also thinking, if you are coming to an afternoon or an evening session and you haven't eaten since lunchtime, it's too long a time. So you need to think about, what am I going to do to fuel myself for my workout? So it could still just be a small little piece of fruit. And we want to think about it from the way that we are giving ourselves some fuel for our workout to let our body know that this is what we're doing. Like, it just starts off all the right processes to know, right, oh, she's exercising, we're doing this, not keeping ourselves in that stress state. So, just really listen to how your body feels and trial and test things. That's what I've done over the years to work out what works best for me. Okay, post-workout. So we want to talk about after we finish our workout. So this is where the magic happens. So your body, after you've worked out, it is primed to absorb nutrients. So it wants to absorb nutrients to start repairing and rebuilding. So whatever you eat in the, 2 hours after you work out, that is what your body is going to use to repair. So if you don't eat anything, it's not going to be able to use that stuff to repair. If you eat junk food, then it's only going to have that very little sources of vitamins and minerals from the junk food to repair. So just think protein is the key, especially after your workout, to support your muscle repair. And that's what I said, you can maximize your results by making sure that you're doing that. So pair it with some carbohydrates to replenish your energy stores. So some post-workout snacks could be eggs on toast, chicken and salad wrap, a protein smoothie with banana and oats, tuna, rice and crackers, Greek yogurt and muesli. So again, you've got anything that you eat after is what's going to help you repair. So we want to eat within a 30 to 90 minute window after you finish training. You don't have to rush, but don't leave it too long after, especially if you've had a harder session, because that's what we want to help replenish your cells. The other thing is, don't forget to hydrate. It's, a little bit of dehydration makes a huge impact on your recovery. So sip water throughout the day after your session. There's lots of protein waters that you can get, that you can just put it in the water. Again, if you feel like you're struggling, just, sip that, and you can sip that, maybe you're getting two things at once. So, so like I said, it doesn't have to be crazy. Keep it really simple. So we want to eat carbs with protein before training for energy. Eat protein and carbs after training to help you recover. Stay hydrated and listen to your body. It's smarter than you think. If something feels off, if your body doesn't like it, it will tell you. Don't just force yourself because Renee said to do it. Or your friend said to do it, but really just think about how it feels. We want to pair if you have a specific goals, we want to pair your workouts, how you're fueling your body towards those goals. So, fat loss, muscle gain, all of those things, they can be tweaked along the way to suit what you're trying to achieve. So just really, really think about those things. It's really important, and it makes more of a difference than what you realize. Okay, so let's now look at blood sugar. So we want to look at blood sugar and mood and how that can affect our day, how we're feeling, and how we work out all of those things. So we want to explore how our food choices make an impact not just on our bodies, but also on our brain and our emotions too. So when we start eating, your body breaks down the food. So it breaks down the food, especially with carbohydrates. So carbohydrates, if they're not being used, they turn into glucose. So that is our immediate source of energy. So like I keep saying, Cooper, he always wants he's a very carb loving child, which there's nothing wrong with that, but he is just wants bread and those types of things. And I'm saying to him, I always say to him, dress your carbs up, because, just eating bread on its own, that's just turning into sugar. So it's just turning into sugar. So we want to think that the sugar, this glucose that will come from these carbohydrates, it will turn into glucose or sugar, and that's going to fuel your brain, your muscles, and your energy levels. But the thing is that when these blood sugar levels spike too high, especially after sugary snacks, or when you've gone too long without eating and then you overdo it, your body goes into this roller coaster mode. So So we have these sugar highs and then we have these crashes. And I couldn't recommend more highly to watch that sugar film. If you've seen it, it's on Netflix at the moment. I was just looking it up the other day. So this really explains this stuff really well. So when we kind of have these sugar crashes, it leads to things like feeling tired, moody, craving more sugar, feeling anxious or low, or foggy in the brain. So it makes a huge difference, and it's around us, not even in obvious ways. So sugar is in everything, and they hide it to make stuff more palatable so you want more. And that's what it's when we get the right balance with the protein, the fats, and the carbohydrates, you don't have these big crashes anymore. The thing where it's more important, especially if you are in phases of perimenopause and menopause, so your hormones will start to shift. Estrogen and progesterone levels start to fluctuate, and your body can be more sensitive to blood sugar changes. So this means skipping meals, eating only carbs with no protein or fats in it, or having high sugary snacks. It can leave you feeling you're on a moody roller coaster. It can be up and down. So if you've noticed that you're maybe more irritable, we're more anxious, and you just, or you can't handle feeling hungry in the way that you used to, it's not about, we're not thinking that we have to have more willpower. It's actually just our biology, and because of what is going on with us hormonally, that we just want to make sure that we're aware of it and we are supporting our body in the best way. So lots of us have been taught to skip meals. We think that skipping meals will help us lose weight, possibly. So let's just think about what skipping meals can do. If you start skipping meals, breakfast or lunch, because you're busy, midday comes around and you are starving, and you just grab what is ever quick for you. And it is usually something that is really high in carbohydrates and low in protein. Your blood sugar levels will spike, and it will then crash down, and you'll feel tired and cranky and craving more. So that is like a very common pattern in us. The other thing is when we're on the go all the time, you are just looking for something to quickly, fuel you. So it will be, sugary muffins or muesli bars or a piece of toast, thinking that will tie you over, but it only gives you a short lift. And again, you then come crashing down. So, and then within an hour or two, you're feeling hungry, and you could be irritated, and your brain just wants more sugar. And I hear people say, I'm just addicted to sugar, but the less that you eat of it, you will then, when you start withdrawing from it, eating less of it, you will see that those cravings kind of stop. And this is a pattern that we cycle all the time, and it's up, down. And, it is, how can we stop it? We can try to be a bit more prepared. Be a bit more prepared. Number one, start to become aware. Notice that when you're having these crashes, do you get to that 3 o'clock point in the afternoon when you're totally, you're starving and you'll eat anything? Or do you get to the point that you've not eaten all day, and then you come home and then you're making dinner and you eat whatever you can see while you're making dinner? Sometimes in those times you could consume, 500, 600, 700 calories, and then on top of have your dinner. So it's just really starting to be mindful of that, and mindful of what you're eating and how those cravings can help. I always talk about eating, like I said, Cooper, he'll want these carbohydrates before he goes to bed. And I'm saying to him, it's just going to turn to sugar. It's just going to turn to sugar, and you're going to sleep. You're not using it. So, it's being really, really mindful. And when you start to notice how it makes you feel, you won't want to have that stuff. So I want you to reflect and think about a few things. Like, do you notice when you have dips, mood dips in the day, or cravings? I used to have, especially when I worked in the office, it would get to the afternoon and I'd sit there and I'd feel like I'm falling asleep. Falling asleep at my desk. It was a boring part of the day but also I wasn't fueling my body correctly. So start to pay attention to the time of day when you have that kind of low, you feeling low on energy, when you tend to crave sugar or carbohydrates, and how long after you eat do you feel hungry again. Again, my kids think McDonald's is really exciting, and I'll say to them, but you feel hungry within half an hour after you've eaten because it's not proper food, it's not fueling your body. And actually just this morning, Cooper said, we got a hot chocolate before work, before school, and he was saying, Mum, sometimes the home stuff is a lot better than the shop stuff. I was like, win. So be your own detective about your body and start to find out what works for you. And your body is always giving you clues. So it's always giving you clues as to what it needs. And you'll notice when, if you have started to increase your protein in the last few days, you might notice that you don't have those types of crashes. Now, I had someone telling me the other week how they were having like energy drinks. They weren't eating and having energy drinks in the middle of the day, and they've just started increasing their protein, and they've noticed that they don't need them anymore and they don't have those crashes. So good. So how can you kind of build that balanced plate? So we want to build meals that are going to release sugar slowly into your bloodstream. So it's going to keep you in a fueled, steady state. So we don't want to have these ups and downs. So we talked about the roller coaster, especially when we are not eating the balanced meal, or we're skipping meals or going for a long time before eating. Now, I'm just going to clarify, because I know what people were probably thinking is, Renee, you've talked about fasting before. So yes, I do talk about fasting. I think there is lots of benefits to fasting, but I think it's something we need to be aware of what is the reason that we're fasting for. So I get lots of people that fast because they want to lose weight, and then that's fine. But then they fast for too long, or then they get to this point where they become ravenous and then they eat everything they see. And I don't think that that's right. So fasting is really good. I enjoy it. I enjoy fasting, but when I am doing fasting, I'm really aware of how I'm fueling my body. So please, I would love to talk to you more about it. Fasting is there's lots of benefits for fasting, especially in the perimenopause, menopause phase, post-menopause phases. So please come and talk to me about it, and we can individually work it out for you. That's why information gets really confusing, because one thing they're saying fuel your body, the next thing they're saying fast. It is very confusing, but we have to tailor it to that what works for you. So when we talk about making a meal that is going to release sugar slowly, it is having a balanced meal of proteins, your high fiber, rich carbohydrates, and healthy fats. We want stuff that's going to slow down digestion, keep you fuller for longer, and keep your brain calm and focused. So balanced meals could be eggs on whole grain toast with avocado, Greek yogurt and berries with seeds and oats, a smoothie with banana, spinach, and nut butter. So your lunch, it could be chicken in quinoa bowl with veggies and olive oil dressing. So your olive oil is your fats, a tuna and lentil salad, leftover roast veggies with beans and tahini. So dinner can be stir fry with tofu and brown rice. Salmon and sweet potato and greens, pasta with lentils, or mince and veggies. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just thinking of that balance, and it's just noticing how, getting those fiber-rich foods. So it is recommended. I think the health organization recommends, or the Australian government recommend about 25 grams of fiber per day. But lots of things I've been listening to lately actually recommend up to 50. So just see. The other thing to talk about when we're talking about balancing our hormones is think about the order that we eat in. Okay, so we want to think about how stuff digests. So your carbohydrates are going to be your most immediate source of energy. So they are going to digest quick, and your body is going to use them up, and then they're going to use them up really quickly and then look for more. So that's what we want to think. If we eat our fiber first, so that would be your greens, those type of things. So we eat that's going to take longer to digest. Then we add your protein, and then you have your carbohydrate last. So there's a whole theory. There's lots of research. If you'll see recently, you'll probably the last couple of years, you'll see lots of people wearing those glucose monitors. But that's what it's all for. So we're talking about balancing the meal in that way, so that we don't have those sugar spikes. So just start to notice this week how stuff is making you feel. So how it's making you feel, and how how we can look to fuel our body. And it can be as simple as just the order that you eat your food. Yeah, the order. So you could look at, make sure you got the fiber first, then your protein, and then, because that's going to take, so it's going to take a longer time to digest by the time you get to those carbohydrates at the end, because it will all sit on top of each other. So let me know if you have any questions. What you observed this week, please let me know. I'd love to hear, and I really look forward to hearing from you.